Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. We bring back Lee Ran. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent, cool. Today we're going to talk about black hat tactics. So let's talk about the hijackers first. We know that how to respond to hijackers, send cease and desist, and all those kind of things. People know that. There's other episodes on that, but let's talk about why they do it.
Yeah. So there could be a lot of reasons why a hijacker would jump on a listing. So if you think about it, one reason is just to get data. So if you want to launch a potential product
Mm-hmm.
and you jump on a competitor listing as a hijacker, and you can get the buy box, then you can also run sponsored ads traffic to that listing,
Yeah,
and you're going to be able to pull a lot of data to see what impressions, how many impressions keywords are getting. You'll be able to see their conversion rates. You'll be able to get a lot of data,
yeah.
and that could be one reason why somebody might just want to jump on a listing, just to be able to pull data so that they can then make a decision if they want to ultimately launch that product.
Yeah, and I mean also with this as well, you can pull down some data even if you were to list the product against the listing and do it as merchant fulfilled and put in a few items. I'm not saying you should do that, but people have done that, and there is some business report data that comes back from there, so you can get an idea of traffic going to the listing as well. Also,
Right.
so yeah, that's one of the tactics. The obvious one is that someone's going to sell a counterfeit product for cheaper. Someone may remanufacture your product out the same factory with the same packaging and everything. Then that becomes more difficult. So how would you protect against that, for instance?
Right, because in a sense, that it's almost like not counterfeit, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're producing a product at a factory, they're your contract manufacturer for that product, and they should not be producing that product for anybody else. So, I mean, the first thing, I would still go the route of cease and desist and et
Mm.
cetera, and test order and all that. Um, but there might be something going on in your factory too, and you want to confront your supplier on what's going on. I've had times where I've had competitors kind of knock off an exact idea for a product that I've done, and I almost feel like, what's going on in my factory? Like, is like when I create a sample, is it also going to somebody else out there who's seeing that sample and giving it to another competitor or something? So when you're dealing with China, I feel like it's even though China's in the east, I feel like it's the wild, wild west, and you
Yeah.
just never know what's actually going on there. Who's giving information to somebody? Is it your own factory, right? Your own
Mhm.
supplier that is potentially jumping on the listing. You never really know. But you want to do that test order and try to prove that it's not identical, or it's not manufactured by you.
Yeah.
I saw a recent post in a group of somebody who did the test order, and it was a counterfeit product. It was like one of the top selling products in the category, and there were just a few slight differences. They had a little like handle on the box. The competitor didn't have the handle on the box, and like their images were just not as crisp on the competitor's box because they took essentially like a photo of their product and kind of put it on the box. And so you do have people that are just counterfeiting and looking for best-selling products on Amazon, and will just go and counterfeit and try to jump on those listings. So
Yeah.
you need to be on the lookout for your products.
And I suppose, of course, there's the other side of it where, let's just say, a product of some kind is failed in inspection, and the private labelers just walked away and said, "Look, I'm not paying for you. This is complete junk." They then
Right.
try and get rid of it and list it on other people's listings. That's another one. And people that decided not to fulfill the purchase after the 30% down payment is another reason. Even if the stock's in good condition, that may be another reason why they jump on there.
Right.
Um, but of course, it might just they might just have gutter morals, basically, and that's what they do, and they that's the way they operate their business. Some people can operate that way. It depends on where the pendulum swings in terms of their moral compass, I suppose.
Right.
So we kind of covered the listing side of hijackers, the black hat element of that, maybe the reasons why they could possibly doing this. What about let's talk about some other type of black hat tips, which are obviously going to get you banned. So we know that there's people doing things like review bombing, where people will leave fake positive reviews on your listing in the event to get you banned. Talk me through that specifically, because I think that's been quite popular recently, isn't it?
Yes, and I heard a story that was quite interesting with somebody doing that. So, and doing it on the negative side, but kind of in an interesting twist. But essentially, what that is a competitor goes out to one of these services. You probably get, if you're listening to this, multiple emails throughout the week from SEO or review experts who can help you get reviews, and obviously those are black hat services.
Yeah.
And so what sellers are doing are trying to get their competition in trouble by buying positive reviews for their competition.
Yeah.
Then Amazon sees a flood of these like 5-star reviews. They can recognize a lot of times the profiles that are that are leaving these reviews, and they can also look at the amount of sales you're getting versus the reviews and realize that this is not when you're getting a 30% review ratio, something's wrong. And so you're basically looking to get your competition suspended by giving them 5-star reviews to make Amazon think you're buying them. I've also seen a case where you had one seller who received all these negative reviews, and the reviews said something like, "Buy my product. Instead of this, you should buy product X." And so the seller thought this was being done by seller X, when in fact it was being done by seller Y, who was doing it to the original seller to get him upset at another seller. So it was being bought by a totally different competitor to try to make these two competitors fight against each other, and get each other suspended. So it's kind of crazy on what's going out there, and then you spoke to somebody recently who was doing some things. Sometimes sellers don't know. I'm consulting for an older gentleman. He makes a great product, and he merchant fulfills it.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, and I'm looking at his seller feedback, and it says, "Hey, I didn't great product, but I didn't get my free product for writing a review." And so I asked him what's going on, and he merchant fulfills, and he puts an insert. Give us a review on our listing, and we'll send you a free product. And I said to him, by the way, did you know that you got to be careful, because this is against terms of service to incentivize somebody to write a review. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know." So I feel like sometimes you will have black hat stuff, or I see new sellers who don't know that you're not supposed to just create a similar product somebody else and jump on the listing also. So sometimes it's malicious,
naivety,
and sometimes it's just out of lack of knowledge of how Amazon works and what the rules are. So you want to make sure you understand, obviously, how Amazon works, what the rules are. And also know, if you do get these flood of 5-star reviews, that you should maybe be proactive and approach Amazon and seller performance and talk to them and say, "Hey, something's going on with my listing. Getting a flood of these 5-star reviews, and it doesn't look like this is legitimate. I don't want to get in trouble for this. Can you look into this for me?" Because I think it's a good idea to be proactive as opposed to getting suspended a month later for these things. So it's good to be kind of aware of what's going on in the black hat world to also protect yourself.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point of this conversation, is to protect yourself. Let's go back to our friend little SEO experts on Amazon. I love these guys. I probably get 20 mails to them a week. The irony is that we do marketing quite a lot on seller sessions, and you've got these guys who are on from Fiverr or wherever, trying to offer you, add to cart and wish list. So let's talk about the add to cart and the wish list thing. This is an area that's quite funny to me when you think about add to cart, right? So let's take Amazon, right? Amazon is one of the largest companies in the world that does vigorous testing. Mm-hmm. What is one of the most important aspects of a commerce store? Cart abandonment.
Right.
But for some reason, and it seemed to work for some people, is that they play the add to cart game, and it helps them rank the product. When you think that is the number one no-no on a commerce store, because that's the one metric you're always fighting to optimize all the time. So there's some irony here.
Right.
What's your take on it?
Well, there are people that are obviously testing how Amazon is doing the A9 algorithm, and from one standpoint, it can kind of make sense to say, hey, if somebody is searching for a keyword yoga mat, and then they're adding this product to cart, that even if whether they buy or they don't buy, they clicked on the product. You have a click through rate for that keyword,
Yeah.
and then they add to cart, and maybe they're I think Amazon also takes into account even how long the person spends on the listing.
Mm.
And if they added the item to cart, whether or not they bought or not, that must be highly relevant to the keyword. And so, hey, let's add that into the A9 algorithm.
Yeah.
And it would seem like, it would make sense whether or not the customer bought, that the product is very relevant. And so, that becomes a black hat tactic to be able to send traffic to a listing through bots that will
Mm.
go, search for a keyword, click on your listing, spend 2-3 minutes scrolling up and down on your listing. It seems like they're interested, right? The more time somebody spends on it, again, I think that's probably a factor in the algorithm,
Yeah.
because it seems like they have an interest in that product, and then add to cart, and whether or not they buy or not, kind of doesn't matter. It still helps the ranking. And so these, SEO experts, that's why when they approach you, they don't tell you need to do a giveaway, or or actually sell any product in order to be able to rank. And I've heard that it does work. I think Amazon has made some changes to adding products to wish lists,
Yeah.
where it's not as effective as it used to be. But that was another method where, if people are adding a product to wish list, they must be interested in that product, and so it would make sense to rank it a little bit higher because of that. But obviously, black hat tactics try to take advantage of all these things.
Yeah. And what about in terms of going back to the review thing but this time in utilizing listings whereby that there's an old listing, maybe got 80 or 100 generic, shall we say, reviews.
Right.
People are coming along and trying to wake the dead using those, aren't they? Creating variations of that.
Yep.
And then so try and get off to the races. Explain a bit more what you've seen about that as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen a few things from one. Let's say you had a product. Maybe this was your first product, and you had 100 reviews, and then you didn't continue with that product. You would add that product's out of stock. You would add it as a variation on your listing, and suddenly all those 100 reviews show up on your listing, but the product doesn't, because it's out of stock.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is that a lot of times those reviews are not going to make any sense
Mm.
for your product. So if you added the yoga mat and now you're selling barbecue gloves, the reviews might seem kind of funny for what the product is. So I've seen that as a black hat tactic. But I've also seen, as far as people looking for dormant brands that have reviews on Amazon, like good reviews, 4.7, 4.8 stars. They have, somebody had 3 or 4 products in 2015. They abandoned that brand name. They didn't brand register it. It's not trademark. You might go and trademark, brand register it, and then pull that brand into your products on
Yeah.
Amazon, and then be able to add that as variations. You just create a new brand
Mhm.
that already has reviews, and just change the product listings, and start off with a lot of reviews. So I've seen that done. And then with reviews, obviously we've seen all these review groups that essentially are. And I have a question for you on this.
Cool.
I want to get your take on something. All these review groups where people buy your product and then you refund them with PayPal so that you get a verified review. Now I've seen this. I want to get your take on this. I've seen this new software tool come out this past couple weeks. Apparently, it's crowdfunded by a bunch of sellers, and they've created a rebate club.
Right.
So what they're doing is you post your product there. People are posting them at 90, 100% off. But the customer goes and buys the product at full price. And like 30 days later, they get a check in the mail as a rebate, 90 to 100%. And then they leave, and then the review is verified.
Yeah.
Uh, I think this is another big way of review manipulation. But the people who created this website and software are saying, "Hey, rebates are completely within Amazon's terms of service
For now.
for for
Yeah.
now.
I
Exactly.
call that a burning platform. Eventually, you're going to get collared for that. They're not going to stand for that. I mean, I think really the biggest one on Amazon is what I've seen with my own eyes. And, we're talking bro science here. I think the biggest big smackdowns that you get is related to reviews. Even with like, we had Anthony on about rank manipulation because obviously running a ranking service, but you've got these ranking services are out there that do giveaways that have not been banned in any way because there's
Right.
this confusion between rank manipulation, what it falls under, and the grey areas and blah blah blah. But something like that, I think, what I've seen in speaking to a few suspension guys in the game, they're saying is like people got quite hot on Facebook ads and stuff. And it was trying to work out, well, why are they getting so hot on Facebook ads? We've got the discount code. That's fine. Yeah. We can drive them to a landing page. That's fine. We give the discount code. They buy the product as long as we don't ask them to review. But then when you start to see some of these landing pages of what's going on, and the fact is they're trying to get reviewed, it goes back to that review manipulation. Even though it's been pulled up under maybe a manipulation for rank, it actually goes back to the review thing. So I think that's, for me, is the biggest standout. Anything related to reviews and a negative experience to the customer, I think where that's the heaviest where it comes down. Because how long has add to cart and wish list been rolling around for? A long time, isn't it?
Long time. Yeah, long time.
But as soon as anything related to reviews, pretty much any loophole just gets closed, doesn't it? Almost straight away.
Yeah, and we've seen Amazon in the last few weeks. It seems like they're not letting customers write reviews if they're getting deep discounts. They're getting this message that says, something like you purchased this product at a discount not available to most other people, and so something like you can't leave a review. So, which I think is actually a good thing, because somebody can't give away thousands of units now and just get reviews at a deep discount.
Yeah, I think that, there's two sides to look at it. People do need reviews on the product, like what you've done. You paid $1,000 for 30 reviews by using Amazon. The irony. We should do that, a separate subject to that.
Yes.
That you're paying into a service to get 30 reviews, and it's worked for you.
Yes.
Next products, or the next batch that we're working on at the moment, that's what I'm going to do. It just simplifies the whole process. I will still do giveaways and stuff like that, but I never ever did ask for reviews on giveaways anyway.
Right.
I'd always kept them absolutely, completely separate because it's just not worth any of the hassle. But if the fact that I can go to Amazon, yes, you're going to get negative reviews, but you can live with it, and you're paying for 30 reviews, that's part of your job almost done. Let their review community take care of it. What's the program called? It's the Vine program, because you've done it recently, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's my take on things with reviews. But I do think there's a mass obsession out there. I do think you don't need as many reviews as you think. It's a psychological thing because everyone follows each other and they just assume there's like, right, in order to do this, I must need X, but they've not measured it to know what X is really. Right. And you can be politely surprised. We've seen ranking products get into page one with 12 reviews surrounded by other products that have got hundreds and that are grandfathered in. At the end of the day, people are going to have a level to where they judge from. Amazon has done in-house research and said the 21 factor, which I'm sure has changed. But then you've got this review program that says, pay us $1,000 and we'll get 30 reviews done. For someone who does that much research, there must be a reason why they come. You don't just come to 30 for no reason. Why not 15? Why not 25? Why not 50?
Right.
So.
And what I'd like to see Amazon do is I'd like to see them make some changes to the search results. So I would like to see Amazon, when you have a certain amount of reviews, like let's say 100 or 500, and Casey has from Buyer Launch has spoken about this too, to just show like 500 plus on the search results, or 500 as the max on the search results. And then when you click in on the listing, then you can see all the reviews. But this would kind of stop a lot of people from this review manipulation, because you wouldn't constantly battling other people for more and more reviews when the customers don't need to see in the search results that you have 5,000 reviews. If you have 100, it's good enough, and they see the stars, it's good enough to get you to click on the listing. And what it does, it levels the playing field for new products coming in to have a fighting chance. If they have a good quality product, they have a fighting chance to, catch up, to some products that have been around for.
Another thing, adding on to what you were just saying there, what I would love to see, I'm happy for it for my listings, and I'm sure it could level the playing field as well for people. That reviews get old, right? Let's say you got a product 5 years old. People tend to use the same listing, but they improve that product over time. They make changes to that product. In effect, it's the same. In essence, it's the same product, but it might be completely remodeled 5 years down the line. Then reviews are changed. You could actually get bad production runs and you could lessen the quality, but people are reading these reviews that are grandfathered in from day one, saying how great the product is, but the product might be poor. I think a good signal is any reviews older than 18 months disappear. I think they should have like a expiry date. Does that make sense? So then what happens is that you're constantly only working on the last 18 months of reviews. Yeah, you're building them up, you're grandfathered in. But if your product's good, you're going to inherently start getting reviews, or you're going to get less. But then over a period of time, the marketplace equalizes itself.
Yep. And, I've experienced the exact same thing. I had a product, and Q4, like 2016, I just had lower quality, and I reached out to my supplier. The supplier I spent a lot of money with. Reached out to them and said, "Hey, what happened with the quality?" They said, "Oh, we had some seasonal workers and we worked fast on some stuff, and I made the mistake early on. I didn't get an inspection on it, and they, I had bad quality, I had bad reviews, and then ultimately I found a great supplier, and now I'm getting all 4 and 5 star reviews, but I still have and I'm at like the 4.3 or so with the product." But, you're right. If I had, if Amazon had implemented that, I probably had like 4.8 right now.
Okay. So to wrap up here, let's just go a quick top down. We just discussed hijackers. We've gone through some black hat tactics that everyone should avoid. Obviously, using the listing to pull data, adding to wish lists, adding to cart, obviously the review bombing. And then you've got brand registry, trying to use old listings for brand registry. And the big one that I've seen recently, like you've said as well, more and more of is people taking old listings and listing against those with reviews that barely make sense.
And, Danny, one thing sticks out with me. One of the things that I've heard you say early on, maybe this was when you came on our podcast, was that, how do you deal with all this stuff? How do you deal with the fact that you are running a moral, by the rules business versus other people? And I think one of the things that you said was you're in this for the long term, right? So if you're playing this for the long term, then, ultimately those competitors' tactics, they only work for a short period of time. And if you get a few if you get one negative review from your competition or something, it's not the end of the world. You're going to keep getting positive reviews on your product. And one of the things that you said that kind of stuck with me was, I'm in this for the long term. And if you take the long term, then some of these short term tactics are not going to make you we're ranting about this, but they're not going to get you as angry about what the competition is doing when you're in this kind of for the long term. So I think you need to take that perspective.
Definitely. I mean, when I say I pay no attention to the competition, that's probably a wrong word to use. What I'm saying is I don't lose any sleep over the competition. I know they are there. They are meant to be there, or else I wouldn't be in the marketplace to compete, right? I don't always have to be number 1, number 2, or even number 3. The key thing for me is that I focus on what I'm doing. And as if I can produce the best I can produce, whether that's seller sessions or products in the marketplace, that is it. The rest of it, you can burn so much negative energy looking at what everyone else is doing. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Just do your thing. Be you. And don't play them dirty games. If they play them dirty tactics, you get drawn into that. Think about how that makes you feel as a person. If you just sat there and got loads of reviews done on someone's listing, what kind of human being are you? Do you know what I mean? Where can you put, to the point of putting your head on the pillow at night? So I would say I encourage people to step away from that. I always see in groups is like people get really angry and go, "Oh, my competitor's doing this and doing that." It's like, don't worry about what they're doing. Launch a new product. Because I think it's so easy to make excuses for your own product. And quite often you don't always know, but maybe what you've really got is, in these cases, some people are new to the game. They're so absorbed by this product. They've put all their money into the game and it's a shit product. And so what they're doing is they're looking at their competitors winning and they're not. And so they want to go after their competitors to catch them out on all these different tricks that they believe is wrong and blah, blah, blah. When really they should be focusing close to home.
Right.
Excellent. All right, let's wrap there. Levan, how can people get hold of you?
So people can find me in the Amazing Freedom Amazon Sellers Facebook group. You can look me up on Facebook, send me a PM, my email, leron@amazingfreedom.com. I have to say your audience has been great. I've gotten some messages from people saying they really like the show, sharing some tactics. So I always love people reaching out who are watching your show.
Cool. Thank you, mate. I look forward to getting you back again soon. Guys, thank you for your time and your ears. We'll see you again soon.